Hey, what's up guys, SK here, and today I want to talk about a video that I saw earlier last week, and it's from Skyline Games, and it's titled, "Are Action Combat MMOs Overrated?" So I watched this video, and he has some pretty good points when it came down to action combat and tab targeting, and why tab targeting is the way it is, and why it's so much easier for developers to go with tab targeting. But I think he missed one game that specifically did action combat completely right with no aid of tab targeting at all. And this is a game I constantly gush over to everyone I ever talk to, a game called Dragon Nest. So quick history on Dragon Nest. Dragon Nest came out in March of 2010, published by Nexon of all companies, but developed by Identity Games. I, however, found out about Dragon Nest around June of that same year by one of my friends that I went to school with. And this was around the 40 cap level where this game was super addictive to me. And this is just a game I played for I think a good 3 years straight non-stop. This is the only game I ever focused on. No game could pull me away from it. And I think at the same time, Raider Z was a pretty big game, and that had good action combat as well, but it just didn't feel like Dragon Nest did. As of now, I believe Dragon Nest is back in Identity's hands. I don't know what happened to the North American server. I don't know what happened to any of my characters. I tried to log into the Steam version. I couldn't connect to that either, so I don't know what's going on with that. And you didn't hear this from me, but there are a few private servers out there that have kept up with the game's actual gameplay and kept up with the patches of the game that you can go ahead and try out. You didn't hear it from me though. Anyway, after watching this video, I kind of felt that, you know, this game was left out because it did so well as a game, and not many people actually played this game. Not many people knew about this game at the time it was out. Like a lot of other well-known YouTubers didn't know that this game, like they missed the good years of this game, well, the good year of this game, because straight after 40 cap, they went straight into pay to win 50 cap, and not many people stayed around after that. And I know that was around the time where Nexon and pay to win were synonymous, so a lot of people just stayed away from the game. I mean, the game was not really forgiving to newer players coming into the game once you got to 60 cap either. Like 50 cap, it was a bit easier to catch up. Once you got to 60 cap, it was so much harder to catch up because no one was leveling in those early dungeons that you needed to level through to get to the newer area so you can catch up to the rest of the game. And even so, it was harder to actually make money to buy the things you needed to go ahead and run these, you know, dragon raids with other players, and run these nests with other players, these dungeons with other players that could get you the things that you needed so you can go ahead and run the bigger raids later on. And because there were nobody doing the lower level stuff, you couldn't ever catch up at after a certain cap. Like recently, after I got my new computer, I went back and tried to actually log in and get into one of my level 70 characters to level up that character to 95 cap, and I couldn't sell anything to make any gold, so I could buy the 80 gear that I needed at the point so where I hit level 80, I can go ahead and run the 80 dungeons with people that are running the 80 dungeons. People were still leveling up characters to 80 to 90. But you still had to get from 70 to 80 and then get the gear. And if you didn't have the gear, you weren't going to run dungeons because nobody wanted to run dungeons with people that weren't geared. But I feel like I've been going on about the negative of Dragon Nest and Nexon's ability to run a game too much. So we're going to get into the good right now. What's been playing as the video is a Dragon Raid Nest, and this is like I think the Rune Dragon Nest, which is like the level 90 something Dragon Nest, and this is end game PvP content. This is what you do end game. It looks like a lot of DPS the boss and dodge the red lines that you do in every other game. Before though, these red lines were in here. You had to dodge based on what you saw from the videos that you would watch for hours trying to figure out the boss's mechanics and where the safe zones were. So these red lines are new to me. I've never seen these red lines in this game before. Seeing them now, I'm just like, wow, you guys have it so much easier. But yeah, some of these nests, they have some really crazy mechanics. The boss attack mechanics are really crazy. Like there's some you have to stack on top of each other, some you have to separate from each other. Some you can't be near a certain player of a certain class while the attack is going on, or you will instantly die. And like you just have to overcome all these obstacles. There's actually a nest that you have to actually do a dance challenge to. So when the boss is like dancing to a certain song, you have to stop and dance to that song. And if you don't do the right dance, you die, or you get cursed and you start taking a crap ton of damage. And as you can tell, the combat is super fast paced. You have to dodge everything while the boss is going on. This game also has the Holy Trinity, where you have a tank, a healer, and the DPS, but in multitude of that, because you have 2 healers, a tank, and like 2 DPS or upward of that. And along with this fast paced action combat, Dragon Nest had a really good story as well. Like the story was so intense that at one point the main city that you go to stand in, like to go and access all your other stuff, it's like a mini hub, it got destroyed and they had to rebuild the city. So like the next time you logged in after the big patch, there was a whole new city you had to be in, and that defined a lot of the characters that were in the game, a lot of characters like didn't make it back. A lot of characters didn't make it through the destruction of the city. And you had a whole bunch of new characters that came in because of the destruction of the city. You had main characters dying off left and right. You had more characters coming in to replace these characters. There was just a lot of twisted emotions in this story, along with this fast-paced combat, and just so many mechanics back to back that I believe Dragon Nest should have been a lot more than it was, but because of the company that was behind it, it didn't make it to where it could be. I think developers need to take a cue from Dragon Nest that it was a fast-paced action combat game with a gripping story, good PvE, and great PvP. And I mean, the PvP in Dragon Nest was phenomenal. No matter how big your attack was on the screen, no matter how flashy your attack was, if you did not aim it right, you were not going to hit your target. This game required so much skill to actually play the game. Even if you were playing the class that had a skill that covered the entire screen, if you didn't time it right, you weren't going to get crap out of it. Like this clip right here of the Crusader versus the Barbarian. This Crusader had to practice this over and over just to get this right, because if you dropped one of this part of the combo, you fail your combo and this person can recover. And there are recoveries in this. Like, he's being juggled like crap right now. There are air recoveries, there are ground recoveries. They have a skill that brushes off. They have a skill that gets them pretty much out of any form of danger they need to get out of. But the Crusader's not letting up, so they can't get out of it. And this Crusader right here, they're fighting a class that's notorious for being overwhelming in PvP. This is a Tempest, and this Tempest should be destroying the Crusader, but that's not what's happening. Because in this game, even if you pick a class that people say is overpowered in PvP, you have to actually learn the skill that it takes to play the class. You can't just go in and spam your buttons and hope to win. Like in this set of clips, the favorite class is the Windwalker over the Majesty, because the Windwalker has a lot of physical attacks that let her get in and get out. And with Majesties, you don't want to be too far away and you don't want to be too close up at certain times, because they have moves that can keep you away, and they have moves that can protect themselves if you get too close. And they have moves that can get themselves away, so you're going to want to be able to get in on them. You're going to want to have the ability to get up on them really quickly, deal your damage, and then get away before they actually, time stop you, which is one of their main skills, is time stop, where they freeze you and then they go off and do their combo on you. And this Windwalker is actually pretty good at getting in and getting out. I'm not sure what the skill level of both these players are, but the Windwalker actually seems to be doing what Windwalkers do: get in, get out, do your damage. But this just goes to show this is what MMOs are missing right now. The action combat MMOs are missing right now. This type of combat. This game's PvP did not look good just because, the skills were flashy and the skills were fast paced. It's because there were checks and balances to everything in the PvP. Every class had a tumble attack that let them either, blink away or roll away, and then they had a power tumble that whenever they were being attacked, they can force roll away or force blink away. And they had a recovery move that they wouldn't get stuck on the ground, so where they can do a rising attack and brush the opponent back. And they had an aerial recovery, so if they were being juggled, they can recover in the air. Some of these classes had multiple of these because they had no advantage against classes like the Majesty that can keep you in the air for a certain amount of time. But like I was saying, Dragon Nest was the fast-paced combat MMO that should have gotten a lot bigger, should have gotten a lot more recognition. It just went pay to win, and a lot of these companies these days, they're just throwing a game out there to make money. They're not caring about the quality of their content. They're not caring about the quality of their PvP, which if they're going to advertise a PvP game, you need to have, at least decent PvP. Dragon Nest never advertised as the world's best PvE combat game or the world's best PvP combat game. They just advertise as fast-paced combat MMORPG. And that's what games like Black Desert, and I feel like games like that are coming out soon are going to be missing the point of things like this, to where you need to have balance in your PvP, you need to have balance in your combat, and if you don't, you're going to screw your players up and you're going to have a community that hates your game. And while doing that, you need to find a system that makes you money while not, making your players hate your game. Like, do Digital Extreme and do constant cosmetic updates. They're making it work somehow. I mean, they're not doing a bad job at it. Personally, I don't know what I hope to accomplish with this video. I just needed to rant and get it out because this has actually been bugging me for a while. And it's not just Skyland's video that brought this up. It's been sitting in my mind when playing, games like Black Desert and Terra, that these games advertise as action combat, but their combat is lackluster because they don't have these balances. In Black Desert, all you do is knock someone down and spam all your skills that have extra knockdown bonus damage. Or in Terra, it just has this weird angled fighting whenever like you have the hip turn fighting style, which I completely hate. Like you're swinging and your top body is moving at a weird angle, which Dragoness doesn't have, which is like, it's really weird for me. Like it doesn't have these like really niche, nasty, just little details that would irk some people when it comes to an action combat game. Like this game was really well done. It's just the company screwed it up for everybody. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and like end the rant there. Thanks for watching if you watched. Thanks for making it this far if you did. Like, subscribe, share. Hopefully I can get back to making other content soon. Black Desert Xbox should be launching eventually, and man, I'm gonna PvP the hell out of that game, even though I hate the PvP later on in the game. Early PvP in Black Desert was fun, so at least I'll have that for a while. Who knows, maybe there's some company out there working on something that is gonna be, you know, the next Dragoness for me, where PvP is gonna be decently stable. I've actually seen this other game called Kurtzspell. It looks really good for action combat MMO. It's an instant style game like Dragoness. I wish Dragoness was open world, but story for another time. I'm gonna go ahead and put the links in the description to the people these videos belong to, because they deserve some type of recognition from that. So thanks to you guys for making your videos how you did, so it could be used by, you know, people like me. And other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and let this video play out, but peace.